Hi everyone, Miss Howard here for week 2, day 4. This is the grade 8 video to kind of review your mission and see how you were doing. We won't usually do a video for Thursdays for day 4, but we wanted to do one this time since our mission was a little bit difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and we're going to get started. Okay, so we are again looking at finding reliable sources in an age of information. And before we get started, like always, let us just do a quick check-in. How are you doing today? How are you feeling? Do you need to get a snack or some water to have as we go through? Do you need to move to a new place? Get earphones, pause the video, go ahead, do that now. Are you feeling mentally like you're ready for this? Do you need to take a break? Like, do what you need to do. We want you to be well, be safe, we care for you, we miss you. So you matter. If you're not ready to do this right now, I'm gonna live on YouTube for a long time. You can come and get me later, okay? So for this lesson today, it might be helpful to have a pen and pencil and paper, but we're really just gonna kind of review again what the mission was. So we're gonna check in with the mission. We're gonna hear a video from Miss Green and get a quick quiz from her, and then we'll close out today. So your mission given to you on day 2 was to keep your ear out for a suspicious story, whether it's an actual news article you read or whether it's something you heard somebody say, like Miss Green's example with the ibuprofen thing, right? Does it seem biased, fake, or exaggerated? Then what we wanted you to do is to write a paragraph kind of summarizing how you figured out if that news was true or not. So I did this as well. And I was looking for a story. I didn't really hear anything that really seemed unusual, but I just typed into Google fake news to see what would come up, and this came up. And it says there probably isn't as much fake news in the media as we think. And it was pretty recent date, but I had never heard of news scientists, and this was like not what I had been taught, not what I know about politics, so I was very surprised by this. So help me use some of the tips you've learned in doing this mission yourself or from our day 2 video. What are some things I could do to kind of fact check this for myself? What? Okay, yeah, those are some good ideas. But this is what I did. First, I actually went and I clicked on the author's name because it was a link to see some other stories that this person had written. So she wrote about math proofs and the hunt for the person who first had coronavirus and the sun. Like, she's writing about a lot of different things. And to me, that didn't seem very reliable, but I guess there are some reporters that did that. I don't know if this was enough information. So I went to the about page of this, this site. It was down at the bottom, and this is what it said. I saw that this was subscribe and save. So they are trying to make money off of their news, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's just something to keep in mind. And then I read, you can see what I highlighted here, that it's the world's most popular weekly science and technology magazine. Like, the world's most popular? Really? I don't know. But then I read that it is actually started in 1956, and that it includes events from the UK, US, and Australia. So maybe it's not American-based. Oh, yeah, because it says it's based in London. Oh, and then when I'm on this about page, I found an easy link to Who's Who and New Scientists. So I clicked on that Who's Who button, and I could find the author's name. Donna Lu's name is there under Reporters for UK. So it doesn't seem like she's totally made up, like she's right there. Looks like you can find her. So now I just have some questions about New Scientists, right? I checked the credentials, I checked the author, I'm looking around on the site. So I used one of these popular media fact-checking sites like Snopes.com, PolitiFact.com, factcheck.org, or MediaBiasFactCheck.com. My personal favorite is MediaBiasFactCheck.com. So I'm going to share my screen to show you what it actually looks like when I typed in new scientists in this site. So the site is really extensive, but they have ads too because they got to stay afloat as well. So it said, has this media source failed to fact check? Let us know. And I scrolled down and it says that it labeled this source, New Scientist, as being pro-science, and that its factual reporting was actually very high. And it says, overall, we rate New Scientist pro-science, and very high for factual reporting. And it says, oh, it is from the UK. So I'm seeing another source that verifies information I'm learning about. It talks about how it's funded. Bias-wise, it says that information is presented with moderately loaded headlines. So they might have some language that's a little bit skewed, but it's properly sourced. So this made me start to feel like, oh, okay, I think that maybe this is something I could trust. Maybe I didn't trust it from the beginning, but maybe I should. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint and kind of walk you through what else I did. The last thing I did was I just straight Googled it. Like, what actually comes up when are other sources saying this stuff, right? So I typed in the exact headline, not as much fake news as we think. And the first thing popped up was the article, right? But all the other articles were kind of talking about other things and coronavirus. And I think that's because right now, especially in the last couple of days, that's what we're really worried about. Are we getting fake news on the coronavirus? Something as serious as that? We don't want that. But I couldn't find anything. So sometimes in your searches, you might end up at kind of a dead end. So in the end, I think I should just read it, right? I think I should just go for it and read it. So that's what I did. This is the whole article. It's very short, but I want to point out a few things that I thought were particularly good information. So the first is that it says, it talks about a new analysis suggests that, at least in America, but fake news may not affect public opinion. And this is because they actually did a study. It says Duncan Watts. It gives me the name of somebody at the University of Pennsylvania, so another college and institution. And his colleagues, they analyzed media consumption habits. Okay, so they're actually social scientists, right? How we talk about historians and social scientists. That's what these people are, and they're doing a real study. It says that on average, people consume about 0.15% of fake news. They're using a lot of data and numbers. They're using Nielsen information, which is a company that actually does ratings for TV. And they defined what fake news was. For them, fake news consumption is the amount of time people spent on a list of just 98 websites that were really not trustworthy. So when I read that, I was like, oh, okay, because they're not actually counting how many times somebody clicks on clickbait or how many times someone sees something on Instagram. They were just looking how much time somebody spent on these 98 websites only. That made me feel a little bit better about like trusting the source. And also, I could actually click on this thing where it says journal reference. Here is the actual article. This is where it lives. It's in this science journal, which is a professional research journal. It lists, oh, look, there's that guy that they interviewed. There he is. He's right there, one of the authors. It has an abstract, just like a true like research study. So I'm really feeling now, listen, I think this is 100%. You know, I might have been a little bit biased. I think that's what it was. This was my biases being like, no, fake news is so important. But the truth is, based on this study and the data they looked at, it wasn't in the media as much as we thought. So if you're following along and you've done that part on Tuesday, which is great, now we're to the second part of the mission. You needed to keep your ear out for a suspicious news story and then write a paragraph. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to kind of write for you the paragraph I would do to summarize what I did. So let me share my screen with you and go to a document camera. And, oh, you can see my hand? Perfect. So I'm going to write out exactly what I would kind of use to describe 3 to 5 sentences, right? 3 to 5 sentences only to kind of describe how I did this. So I'm going to say, and you can say it too, I found a news article about how fake news is not prevalent. That means it's not in a lot of places. I'm going to also say next, this sounded wrong to me. I'm going to be honest. This sounded wrong to me. So in yours, you might want to say, I don't know, I didn't trust this. Or sometimes this friend makes stuff up. Like, you can write that down in your paragraph. And like I said, I had never heard of new scientists before. Yes, your super smart, awesome teachers don't know everything. Of new scientist. So I had to use some fake news tips. To use some fake news tips to decide if the story was reliable. Okay, so do you remember what I did first? Right, first I looked at the author and I looked at the about page. So I'm gonna write that in. Oops, come on, Led. No, oh, here it is. I just had to click it a few times. First, I checked the author out and, oops, erasers, we love them. And I read the site's about page. Beep, beep, beep. Then what did I do next? Right, I went to that media bias fact checking site, right? So then I referenced, let me move my sheet up a little bit. I referenced a fact checking site to find out if new scientist was reliable. And I determined it was, right? They said it was a pro-science site and it had a very high factual content, which is exciting because I actually like reading about science. And now I've got a new site I can look at. Okay, what did I do last? Right, I just read the story, right? I actually checked it out. Because, you know what, I feel bad. If I had read the story first, I maybe wouldn't have had to do all these other things, right? I was reading the headline only and just going with that. That's normal, that's natural. So don't feel bad if that's what you did. But if I kind of feel a little silly, right? Like if I just read the story, I would have known right away that it was believable because it included all of that data. Remember, it mentioned all those numbers, and it even had that link, and even had the link to the study they did, the social science study they did. See, you guys, history and social science isn't just about, you know, civics, boring stuff. It can be like really interesting stuff, right? You guys can be social scientists too. So to end this paragraph, I think I'm going to say something about how, you know, my own bias got in the way, right? Kind of like at the end of our video from day 2, it talked about check your own biases. I needed to do that, right? So I'm going to say I realized my own biases. Please note, biases is S-E-S. May not be what you think it is. Biases made me distrust this source at first. But with all those tips, I decided it was reliable. So that's it. That's all you have to do for today's mission, is to write out a paragraph. You can see 3 to 5 sentences, just summarizing what it was that you did to kind of, you know, investigate some fake news that you heard. So I'm going to take me back to my PowerPoint. And we're actually going to kick it over to a video from Miss Green because she is going to give us a quick quiz. Do you remember those words of the day? I'm going to see if you actually remember them. And she's going to give you a quick quiz. You're going to need a pen and pencil to do this quiz. So are you ready? I'm pulling it up right now. Here we go.
All right, guys, Ms. Green here for your quick quiz. Are you guys ready? Here's your first question. So number 1, which picture does not represent a form of mass media? The newspaper, a letter, or a TV news broadcast? What do you think? Pause the video while you think about it and choose your answer. When you're ready to hear the answer, unpause the video. Okay, go ahead. All right, did you pick your answer? So, the best answer for number 1, which picture does not represent a form of mass media? Right, it's a letter. But why? Well, a letter is sent from one party to another party. It doesn't reach a large audience like a newspaper or TV news. That's the mass part of mass media, that it has to reach a large audience. All right, are you ready for question number 2? That one was pretty easy. That was just our warm-up. Question 2 is a little bit more challenging. So for question 2, when someone says, that source is biased, what do they mean? In one sentence, put that statement into your own words. If you'll notice, you see the little writing symbol. So that means that you are writing this down. So make sure you have your pencil ready for this. Let me read the question one more time. When someone says, that source is biased, what do they mean? In one sentence, put that statement into your own words. All right, go ahead and pause the video now so that you can write your sentence. When you're ready, unpause. Okay, go. All right, did you get it? So what did you say? When someone says that source is biased, what do they mean? Well, your answers are going to vary, right? Not everyone's going to say the same thing. But a strong answer would probably say something about facts versus opinions. A source is biased if it has a lot of opinions. Or you might talk about personal and political preferences, okay? So if a statement is really opinionated, right? Or if it contains persuasive language, or if it talks about how someone feels about a certain politician, including their personal preferences, right? Then that's probably a biased source. So strong answers, again, they're going to vary, but they probably said something about facts versus opinions and personal or political preferences. All right, are you ready for question 3? Question 3 says, which story is most reliable? So I see 2 stories. First is from the New Yorker, and the headline says, America's teachers urge Trump to use time at home to repeat first grade. The second one is from Politico. It says, poll, voters split on Trump's handling of coronavirus outbreak. So what I want you to do is pause the video and think about this. This one is kind of hard. You're going to have to think about the things that Ms. Howard taught you how to do on Tuesday, about how to determine what is a reliable source. So think back to Tuesday's video. If you need to go back and check it out, do that. Go ahead and do that. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. Go. All right, do you have your answer? So, which story is most reliable? Well, the Politico story is most reliable. If you picked that one, then you are correct. So to figure that out, you may have had to check for bias, humor, credentials, or maybe you just used your gut. This one was a little harder because the New Yorker and Politico are both generally reliable, and the articles are both recent publications. But the New Yorker story is satirical. It uses humor to express an opinion. The Politico article, on the other hand, is referencing data from a poll. That means it's probably less biased and more reliable. So thanks for participating in the quick quiz. I'm signing off for now, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Green, for that. I'm gonna go ahead and close us out today. Here I am. Okay, so I just want to kind of close with saying that we really appreciate your patience with us as we work through kind of learning this new technology platform and figuring out how we can continue distance learning for you. And something else I wanted to say about the going with your gut thing. it's sometimes really hard as young people to figure out exactly, you know, what things are, because you're still learning and you're young. And you've got a lot of things coming at you, and this is a new one, right? But shout out to the old people for getting through school without the internet, just with the textbook, because it's definitely new for us as we figure out how to do this. So I will see you next week along with a video message from Miss Green. So have a great one, and we'll see you later. And I'm gonna stop my share. I'm gonna wave goodbye because I hope a lot of you are watching. Remember, you can always pause and go back if you need to, okay? Bye.